Today we are actually going to discuss on a very important topic. It's not only important because I'm going to talk about it. It's also important because each one of us will be able to relate to it. Each one of us will be able to sort of link our life and associate with it, and 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 also understand that how um, all of our issues are somehow collectively related. They are associated. Right now, we all are going through a time of collective trauma. Our symptoms, the way the trauma shows up, the way we respond to the trauma, the different kind of anxiety, behavioral responses, um, the different forms of sadness, the way you grieve, all of these could be different. Symptoms can be different, but we all are emanating from the same root of trauma at this moment. All of us are going through, feelings of deep-rooted uncertainty, not knowing what is going to happen in the future, feeling absolutely restricted in our spaces, in our places, homes, also in our bodies. We are even feeling restricted in our bodies, as a result of which a lot of people may be experiencing also body pain, body aches, because the body stays in this constant state of restriction, isn't it? That's one more thing. Um, of course, not knowing what is going to happen in the future contributes to even more, because you feel that there is nothing truly to look forward to. So, and of course, social media is the only outlet at this moment. Even I'm using it, and you all are using it right now. So what happens is, the moment you are on Instagram, the moment you are on Facebook, the moment you go to any other portal, you switch on your news channel, and the only thing you see is more and more tragic news. There's more and more death. There's more and more tragedy going on all around the world, and the numbers keep whooping, and you don't know exactly when the numbers are going to fall. So that kind of situation right now, because we are in the middle of a pandemic right now, the focus of my talk today is that how the pandemic is actually bringing out our old wounds, our childhood traumas, our past traumatic memories and experiences, our unresolved issues. So somehow, for good or for bad, the pandemic has become this uh, portal by which all other old wounds, attachment wounds, relationship with our parents, childhood traumas, all of them are finding surface at this moment. And mind you that it can be expressed in different ways. For some people, it could simply be the fights that happen between spouses. One is irritated with the other, one is frustrated with the other. For some others, it could be the fact that um, in your kitchen water has finished off, and now there is no way by which you can get water from outside, and then that small frustration takes a the form of a mountain, and you start screaming and shouting at everyone. For some others, it could simply be that they are cooped up in their homes, but they also want to retreat into one room and not talk to anyone. They simply probably want to switch off their phones, their mobiles, and they also do not want to talk to anyone in the house. For some others, they could simply not be able to get up from their beds in the morning, even pull themselves up to the shower. Or for some others, it could simply be that they, before they go to sleep, they simply want to take a sleeping tablet. Um, or for others, what it could be is, at 1 in the night, they simply want to go to the fridge and gobble up as much food as they can. So what I'm trying to say is, the symptoms by which we respond to our traumas could be very different. But the trauma within us is almost the same. So while the symptoms keep on varying from person to person to person to person, they all are dealing with actually old traumas. On the surface, they don't look like old traumas because the symptoms are of the present. Someone is going to the fridge and taking out food at 1 in the night. It's a present symptom. I'm not able to fall asleep. There's insomnia, and every single night during the lockdown, I need a sleeping tablet. That's a symptom of the present, right? I'm unable to pull myself out of the bed because in the morning, I don't know if I truly want to get out of the bed and go to shower. That's a symptom of the present. But the dealing that they are doing is with an old trauma, is with a past trauma, is perhaps with a childhood wound. Because all of the situation that we are surrounded by right now are triggers. So I've made a list of triggers actually. So the first trigger is nothing but media, right? So in the media, everything that we are seeing, the pictures on Facebook, the posts on Instagram, the IGTVs of various TV channels and newsrooms that keep on uploading minute after minute. What is it doing to you? Please try to understand. When you read, watch, and allow yourself to be consumed by it, it's not just you consuming the media, but the media also consuming you. When you allow that to happen, you become a part of the collective trauma. Everything you see, everything you read, watch, absorb, you take in energy from that place, from that device, from that app, from that scene, from that video into your own body, literally, physically into your body. It becomes a part of your cellular memory. Everything that you see. And what happens is that when you pick up so much from the outside world, something in your inside world also gets triggered. So if you have, let's say, previous experience of post-traumatic stress, maybe you come from a household where there was a lot of quarrel. Maybe you come from a household where there were a lot of death that you had seen. Maybe you come from a broken home. Maybe your parents were not together. So all of these traumas, while they are in the background, when you look at the news, when you watch, when you read, when you absorb stories from outside, this trauma, this absorbance somehow connects to the old trauma, and everything comes up. Everything, it feels overwhelming. So you may feel that you're overwhelming is because you are consuming a lot of media, and now you want to shut down your phone, you want to switch off your Instagram or Facebook. But what is truly happening is you are overwhelmed also because everything that you have absorbed from the outside world has now triggered something inside that you are not able to locate. Okay? One of the ways by which we locate is, I usually ask people when they are very bothered by their current circumstances, I tell them that please for a moment close your eyes and tell me, what is this feeling called? And most times they are not able to name the feeling. They would say, well, it feels like a mixture of anxiety and stress. And I say, stress is not an emotion. Stress is truly not an emotion. Stress is a body response. What is your emotion? How do you feel in this moment? And that's when they would say, I feel scared. And I would say, where in your body do you feel this fear? And they would say, maybe I feel it in my shoulders, maybe I feel it in my chest, maybe I feel it in my stomach. So I tell them that if you can put your hand on that part of your body and ask yourself, where else have you felt it back in time? Maybe you were young, maybe you were a teenager, maybe you were a child. Go back to that time and see where have you felt it. So when you ask that question, what happens is there is a distinction between the stress that I'm feeling right now by consuming all of this media and the stress that I have felt before, which invokes a similar emotional response as I feel today. But this is also a marker of the fact that there is an unresolved trauma behind me, behind this current personality, which needs to be resolved. The second trigger is, of course, right now is social distancing. And I should tell you that social distancing is a misnomer. It should be physical distancing. It's not social distancing because, well, we are aware, we are socially interacting. We are speaking to our mom or dad, to our brothers and sisters over phone as well as over video calls. What is happening is physical distancing. Because of physical distancing, the body is also not able to sense another being, another body nearby. For a lot of people, they are away from their parents, they are away from their spouses, as a result of which the physical connection, which is so central to human relationships, we feel that the body is of no use when it comes to relationships. Or the usage of the body in terms of stating a relationship is supposed to be, you're not supposed to talk about the body because, you have discounted the emotional gravity of a relationship if you have spoken about the body. But the truth is, the relationship is not possible without the body. I will, of course, feel like hugging my mother. I would, of course, want to cuddle with my partner and my spouse. I would, of course, want to hold hands with my brother or sister, right? So, physical intimacy and awareness of the physical body next to you is a measure of safety of another person. When that doesn't happen, we don't feel safe. So, all other memories in our lifetime, in our entire life, where we may have felt unsafe because no one was nearby, wherein abandonment issues can crop up. Okay, that's how a wounded part of you who may have gone through through a form of abandonment and might have felt absolutely unsafe can spring up, and that is what can create havoc, right? So that is also an old wound. Abandonment issue and feeling unsafe because no one is nearby is definitely an old issue, is a past trauma, is a wounded inner child, I would say. Okay, so then the third trigger is we all are living our days in such a way that Monday is same as Tuesday, Tuesday is same as Wednesday. Well, there is no difference. I wake up in the morning, this is my clinic space, I come to my clinic space and I sit here, and that's what I do my work, and I go back to the other room, dining room, I eat there, and then I go back to my bedroom. There is no difference. So what is happening is we all are losing a sense of time, right? We all are losing a sense of time. And because we are losing a sense of time, it feels that we are in this kind of time loop wherein there's just no way out. It feels trapped. So the trapping is not just because I am in this house surrounded by the four walls. The trapping is also because I am in some sort of a time loop. And because I am in a time loop, I feel hopeless. I feel hopeless about the future. I don't know if the time is going to change for me or not. For example, in my case, if you ask me when was the last time I felt like this, being in a time loop, was when I was in medical school. I felt that I would never be able to get out of this place, and this place feels like a prison to me. So that's how I felt when I was in med school. So people who have had similar memories of being in a place, maybe in their colleges or in their universities, where they did not know if they would ever graduate from that place or not, all those past traumas can also resurface. We hardly realize the kind of pressure, the kind of trauma we go through in the institutions where we study, right? And the kind of pressure that we go through from our teachers, supervisors, and the kind of performance it demands out of us. When some people tell me, even some of my clients who are in their 40s, that they still have dreams of being in their university and they're writing an exam, and the anxiety in the dream is so much that they are unable to write in the exam, or the end of the pencil suddenly sort of breaks, right? So that tells us that the amount of stress that a person goes through when he or she is in a university or an institution is great. Now, that is the kind of trauma that can surface up as a result of being in a time loop, not knowing if we will ever be able to get out of it. So that's why a lot of students are also feeling trapped, because they don't know whether they will graduate from school, they will resume normal classes, they will meet their friends or not, whether they will go back to the places where they study, or it doesn't even matter whether studying will bring some kind of how do you call it, some kind of opportunity for them wherein they will get a job or do some work, because we all feel trapped in this moment and we don't know whether we will get out of the situation or not. And that is also an old trauma. The fourth and one of the most interesting is actually food. Have you observed that your relationship with food has completely changed? 95% of people that I talk to nowadays, even on Zoom, they tell me that they're eating disorders, wherein there are many kinds of eating disorders. Two of the most common are bulimia and anorexia. In anorexia, people don't eat at all. In bulimia, people eat and then they vomit it out as well. But then, apart from these two very specific kind of eating disorders, there are other eating disorders also, wherein binge eating, or eating when you are in stress, you eat a lot of carbs and you eat a lot of sugar, and that gives you a rush, but then that also predisposes you to many other inflammatory diseases as well, right? Diabetes is an inflammatory disease. So in stress, we eat a lot of carbs, we want a lot of sugar, because that's what the mind tells you, that this is comfort. Why is this comfort? Because from the olden times, we have had sugar. I mean, it's very difficult to eliminate sugar from your diet, simply because as early men and early women, we used to have fruits, and the sugar from there is there in our genealogy, in the genealogy of our brains as well. So what happens is, it's very difficult to give up that kind of food. So every time we are stressed, we go back to our early man and early woman responses, and our relationship with food gets distorted. But it's not just the relationship with food that gets distorted. Our relationship with food is reflective of how we deal with stress. As children or as youngsters, if we have been through depression, if we have been through anxiety, and we have taken the help of any substance in order to sort of alleviate that anxiety. I often talk about addiction, and I tell that the root of addiction is in the way one finds a safe space or tries to control a situation when they are out of control. So if we were at a certain point in our life, we were depressed or we were anxious and we did not know how to control, and we took the help of a substance in order to control it, that is the kind of attitude we will also have with food as well, an addictive obsessive tendency. But addictive obsessive tendency is simply a behavior, it's not the real issue. The real issue is back in time, wherein we may have suffered post-traumatic stress, we may have suffered depression, we may have suffered anxiety back in the past, and those old feelings have surfaced up because of the present trauma, and we are working it out through food, right? For a lot of people, consumption of cigarette and alcohol has also gone up because they are actually dealing with past trauma. That's how they dealt with many years back, and now today they are dealing with it the same way, right? So be careful of how much sugar and how much carbs you are eating, and be also careful of your timings, as in at what time during the day are you opening your cupboard, are you opening your refrigerator. Be aware of that. Now the next thing is, again, work from home. So when you work from home, what happens is, basically you don't realize at what time work starts and at what time work ends, and you are in front of your screen so long that of course you go through a fatigue. But more than that, what truly happens, that your sense of boundary of your life, that I wake up at 7, then I go to the washroom, then I come out of the washroom at 8, then I have my breakfast at 8:30, at 9 I sit for my work, at 10:30 I take my first break, at 1:30 I have my lunch break. All of these disappear. That doesn't happen because there is no boundary. Who are the people who are going to find it most difficult to maintain boundaries? Are people who may have had difficulty in making boundaries when they were children. For many of us, we didn't have a personal space of our own, because we have had unresolved issues with our parents, who were perhaps controlling, who were perhaps overprotective, might even be oversecure. Parents who did not allow us to do many things. We did not have a sense of individuation or boundary of our own. And today, when we try to please them and please the world, we are losing out our own boundaries and hence having a burnout, right? So you don't even realize that your sense of losing boundary over a Zoom call is actually related and linked to your own sense of boundary as an individual back in childhood, right? So that's one. The next is, of course, again related to working from home, because many people, I meet, at least 14 people in a week over Zoom, and all of them I get to hear that I am not productive enough. And I tell them that how is that possible? You work from morning 9 to night 9. Sometimes you go beyond that, 14 hours a day. How can you not be productive? They say that no, I think I'm whiling away time. I think I click some other window and I go to some other website, and then I read an article, and then by the time I come back to my work, I don't know what I have done. So because again of the lack of boundaries with anything and everything, people feel that they need to do more work than they have done, because there is no sense of time, there is no sense of structure. So people perpetually feel that they haven't done enough, and these are again the people who have in the past dealt with their own self-worth issues. As children, as youngsters, if we have had self-worth issues, that is how it is going to show up during this pandemic. So this is again an old wound that shows up, right? And lastly, when we see so many deaths all around us right now in India, we are seeing so many deaths all around us. So when we are seeing so many of them, our own fear of losing our loved ones, maybe losing our parents, or maybe losing our own life, and if we have had accidents in the past, or if we have had experience in the past where we have lost already someone dear to us, or if we have had experiences in the past where we were made to feel that because there is so many death, there is no point of living, it reconfirms those beliefs. Those belief systems find strength during these times, and as a result of which, all other abandonment issues that we may have faced as children, separation from our mom, separation from our dad, being alone in a house, being alone in one room, all of those abandonment traumas are going to come up, which will lead to anxiety within our body. We may not even realize that this is happening because, when I was 5 years old, that's when mom left us. We don't even realize that, but it's because of that it's happening, and therefore digging is important. So everywhere you find that all those symptoms are different, it feels as if it's happening because of the collective trauma. It is truly happening because your own past experiences and past wounds are surfacing up. So what to do now? Point by point. Firstly, make a list of things that you can control, and make a list of things that you cannot control, right? For example, I can control how many times I need to go out of the house. I cannot control if other people outside are wearing masks or not. I can control to switch off my phone and switch off my laptop and go to my bedroom and sleep. I cannot control my spouse switching off their phone or switching off their laptop, or whether they decide to pick up a book or not. So write down things that you can control and you cannot control. When we feel out of control, that's when anxiety comes up. When we know that there are still certain things that we can control in our life, we feel some amount of stability, right? Secondly, media consumption. You have to limit your media consumption. There is no way out. If you find yourself, set a reminder on your phone, set a reminder on your laptop if you feel like. If you find yourself going over 3 hours, then that's a red flag, and you need to tell yourself that I'm going to keep my phone away right now, whatever it takes. Most importantly, before you go to sleep, you have to keep your phone away half an hour before you go to your bed, because otherwise everything that you have been seeing, watching, listening to on your phone becomes a part of your psyche, and that's all that's going to run. And when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to wake up fresh, and that's one of the reasons why insomnia is sort of rampant in everyone right now, right? So media consumption is to be restricted, right? And remove the words lockdown, remove the words social distancing, because it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. Make sure that you remain connected to your parents, to your loved one. Make video calls, and when you do that, do not ask always about how difficult it is and how stressful it is, but also tell them that what did you eat, mundane things, banal things, but talk about that. What did you eat for dinner? Did you give your pet a bath or not? Whether your parents have been using moisturizers when they go to bed or not. That brings me to another point, by the way, that you have to invest in your self-care, because the self-care goes completely out of the window in times like this, because you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to present yourself anywhere. Your entire self-care routine goes out of the window. So you have to make it a point that, okay, fine, now that I have kept my phone away, I have 30 minutes with me before I go to bed. I'm going to utilize this 30 minutes to take care of, let's say, my face. I'll wash my face, I'll put some moisturizer, maybe I'll take care of my lips and I'll put a lip balm. So self-care is important, so do not skip that. Again, with food also, I know it's most difficult. The most difficult relationship we have is with food, but you still have to take care of the amount of, you know, protein versus the amount of carbohydrate that you are taking. Whether you are taking your micro and macronutrients or not, you have to be aware of it, and you cannot simply, you know, binge eat simply because you are stressed, right? So instead of a Western diet where there's a lot of fries and burgers and chips, you need to consciously be aware and have a more Mediterranean diet, or maybe a South Asian diet will also do. Um, for boundaries, to have proper boundaries, you need to set up a proper workplace from where you can work, and once the work finishes, you need to close your laptop, close your computer, and get out of that space. Don't be in that space, because if you remain in that space, your body will constantly keep telling you that work has not been completed, and that's when you will go to bed thinking that, you know, that I did not complete this work, I did not complete that work, maybe that work is remaining for tomorrow or day after. So you will feel something has got missed out. So have a proper, you know, sort of structure around workplace, wherein you have a workplace in your house or in your home, and once you finish, you move out of that zone, even if it means that it's a corner of your room. Okay. So and lastly and most importantly, you have to also take care of your physical body. Movement is necessary. As I said, that the body is going to experience a lot of body aches and pains, because the entire energy in which the body lives for the next for 24 hours is the energy of restriction, as a result of which the body will remain in this hyper aware, hyper vigilant state, and a lot of aches and pains are going to come up. So you have to move the body. So do any form of physical activity or exercise, but please, please, please move. And I know not many people will agree with me, but at least in my life, you know, meditating 2 times a day, even if I meditate for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, has truly helped me empty my brain. And the last thing that has helped me is, you know, once a week, and I tried this actually last week, once a week when I fast, I feel that all of that brain fog that was accumulating from, you know, so many people, absorbing so many people's stories, and and then at night going and binging on so many series, and then further night going and binging on food. When I fast, I physically feel empty, and the physical feeling of emptiness then transcends into the mental feeling of emptiness, and then there comes a state where I feel emotionally empty, and in a good way, in a healthy way, not in a struggling way, but I do feel empty when I fast. And that kind of emptiness is necessary at this moment, because we are over consuming things from every resources possible. And lastly, when it comes to personal wounds of our own lives, where all these old wounds and traumas are resurfacing up, one of the most beautiful tools that one can use is simply going back to those parts of us who feel vulnerable, who feel wounded, who feel angry, who feel sad. And all these old parts of us, younger parts of us, are called inner child. I'm sure you all know about it, are called inner child. One of the exercises that has come, that has sort of worked out for me so well, is writing a beautiful love letter to my inner child. Something like, "Dear 8-year-old Gaurav, I know it was very difficult for you. I know you suffered back then. And the same suffering is surfacing up right now, because the situation don't seem to go away. It feels like the same environment. But please let me tell you that I am here with you, and you are safe with me, and I still love you, and I want to take care of you." So get creative and write letters to all these, wounded parts of you. Don't type a letter, write a letter. When you write, you are actually using your physical body to feel the emotional impulses that will guide you to write this letter. So write as many letters to your younger parts, to your inner children, as many as you can. For all the viewers watching this live right now, and I'm so thankful for all the beautiful comments that you have written and put on here. So for all the viewers, I want to tell you that we are coming up with a 6-month long course on inner child healing and systemic family therapy. And everything that I have spoken about here, we will be working on those traumas and discovering those wounded parts of us, and finally bringing out release and integration of those parts through this beautiful 6-month long online course that we will be doing from July onwards. It is starting from July 7th onwards, and it's called Inner Child Healing in Systemic Family Therapy. You will find the link to this course on my bio, which is in linktree/Dr. Decca. That's written in my Instagram profile bio. If you click on that link, you will find the entire link for registering for this course. We still have our early bird pricing going on right now, and I urge each one of you to come and work with your own childhood traumas so that you don't have to relive them through different triggers, so that whenever the trigger shows up, you can still be in your body, still be in your element, and wade through it smoothly. Please remember that your emotional and spiritual hygiene and immunity is as much important as your physical and physiological immunity as well. So it's important to invest in your emotional as well as spiritual hygiene and immunity. So with that, I'm going to leave you here. I'm just going to take a few moments to check out if there are any questions here. Someone says, "You are amazing, Gaurav." Thank you, Paulomi. Thanks so much. Dr. Rachita says, "Very nice live." Thank you once again. Nurturing Neve says, "Very true." Thank you. Such a lovely, beautiful insight at physical distancing. Thank you so much, Jury. Thanks a lot. So, thank you so much, everyone. I will now take your leave, but before I leave, please do remember to check out our course, Inner Child Healing in Systemic Family Therapy, coming up this July. Okay? Bye-bye and see you all.